Time out with him. Oh.
Open up your mind and let me in. Open up your mind and let me in. Open up your mind and let me in.
Yeah, you want unity, you want peace. And I don't think we should ever stop looking for people amongst ourselves that we can have this with. We talking about us today. We talking about what we do and what we do to each other all day long. You go to certain parts of Milwaukee, you hearing gunshots. And those parts are parts that don't know white people live. See, I don't know if it's the foods we eat. I don't know if they doing something to the water, but something just ain't right. Something ain't right. How you always talking about living around all blacks, being around all blacks, unity this, unity that, but then they vote for people who gonna bring this even more destruction. And they just at odds all day long. You go in the store, you got dudes looking you all up and down. And they using machine guns, they using assault rifles.
Hello, welcome to Time Out with Timo. I'm your host, Tim Owens. As always, very grateful and happy to be here today. Now, shall we begin? You see those things behind me on the shelf over here? To some of the youth today, those are ancient relics that have scribblings in it. Have no idea what those are. Those are words that need to be read, taken into the brain, increases the comprehension. However, today's society, people don't read very much anymore. And what I want to talk about today is gun violence in the black community. That's right. Some people are not going to like this video, but I have to tell the truth. This is one of the conversations I've had in private many times over. And some of the things that are shared in the conversations are kept private. But I think it's time that some of my thoughts and some of the stats that are out here need to be made more public. Needs to start a conversation in the barbershop, in the hair salon, church, after church, even, or at the dinner table. We don't have a lot of that anymore these days. So let's dive right in. I'm going to go into some stats about the gun violence in the black community. When you think about it, in today's culture, there's a lot of young men in the black community wearing these masks, these poo shiesty masks, as they're called, made popular by a rapper. If you don't know what those are, it's the full some mask that goes over the head. Only thing is showing is the eyes. Very menacing. There are people who tell me in the community that when they see young men with those masks carrying a firearm, they usually go the other way, the other direction. How far have we fallen in our community that the elderly do not feel safe around the youth? As I remember in my father's time, in my grandfather's time, listening to them speak, that there was a time when the youth looked after the elderly in the community. Nowadays, they're cursing them out, using very profane language. There's no respect for anyone. Who do we blame? Do we blame the government? Are we still blaming slavery? Who's at fault here? Broken homes, fatherless homes. But in some situations, you look at some of the fathers and the way that they carry themselves, you have to ask the question, are they better in the home or out of the home? What would they be teaching if they are at home? Who knows? But, however, there's some problems here, people. So let me go into some of the stats here so no one can say I'm making things up or just speaking off the top of my head. Because I tell you what, having this conversation with people, I've had people tell me, the stats are fudged, the numbers are not correct, the people that are making those up. So here we go. Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence website. Here's an introduction. For decades, gun violence has taken a disproportionate and grueling toll on black communities, leading to tens of thousands of gun deaths and hundreds of thousands of gun injuries. The impact of gun violence on this community is particularly devastating for young black men. In 2022, 1 in every 67 black men ages 18 to 24 in Philadelphia were killed or injured in gun homicides or shootings. In Rochester, New York, it was 1 in 50 young black men. In Connecticut, it was 1 in 44 young black men. This is clearly a problem. The vast majority of shootings in these cities and in similar communities across the country are perpetrated by a very small number of people. But the impacts of this violence are felt across entire communities, contributing to generations of trauma and collective grief that have disproportionately affected Black people. Importantly, gun violence in Black communities is a direct cause and consequences of the systematic structural disadvantage of these populations. Research shows that high rates of gun violence seen today have been forced by past and present racial discrimination, including historic racial segregation and disinvestment. As gun violence plagues these communities, it leads to diminished economic opportunities and the lack of investment, creating a vicious cycle. This reality proves not only a strong impetus for action. This reality proves not only a strong impetus for action, but also a reminder that solutions to this problem must address the underlying inequalities driving gun violence in Black communities. Now, that's what the website had to say. Is this really true? Is all of this true? Does every one of these statements still hold true today? I don't think so. No, do not think so. Do I think that systematic structural disadvantages of these populations? Give me an example. Give me one example of a structural disadvantage that we're facing today. You have more Black millionaires and billionaires than ever that can invest in the community. There's tons of programs. In 2020, the PPP loans were out there for people to get money to invest in the community. You could open up a business in the Black community. Are we being marginalized and not treated fairly in our own communities? By who? Who is living in our community that's stopping people from progressing? And who is putting guns in the hands of the young Black men in the community, making them shoot one another, put on poosh shiesty masks, and be part of gangs? Who is doing that? I'm in the Black community, and I'm trying to understand. Not once have I ever seen anybody outside of the community walk up, hand a young Black man a gun, put a poosh shiesty mask on his face, and tell him to aim that gun at someone else. Never seen it. Never seen it, not one time. So I'm trying to figure out, is it the mentality? Is it the lack of like the way it used to be back in the day? Like careers options, as far as you don't have Black firemen, policemen, attorneys, judges coming to the Black community trying to recruit these young men into these professions? Is that a problem? Do we need more of that? Are these careers not being glorified? Because from what I've seen, regular jobs are put down. Regular careers are put down. They're a lame if they want to work a regular job. A judge is a lame. He's a hater. A federal agent, they only hating. It's this negative stereotype of positive things that is taking place in our community. Anything that's positive or right or God related is negative. It's hated. That's where the problem lies. That's what we need to focus on. We need to focus on stop the negative things that are said about positive things in our community. It's flipped around. When there's trash all over the ground in the Black community, who is throwing it down there? People aren't riding from other communities throwing trash in the Black communities. It's the people that live in the community. How about we clean up our communities, be more proactive, stop blaming other people? Like, let's just stop doing it. If you see someone throwing trash on the ground, can you say, hey, would you mind not doing that? You make the neighborhood look bad. But guess what? That person is at a high risk of being attacked, because what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right. Who are you to say something to me? We need a complete overhaul of our values in our community. Complete overhaul. This is the result of 25 years of everyone's right, removing God from the schools, not attending church service, not having any sort of moral compass. When you remove a moral compass, which was faith in the Black community, when you try to destroy it and stamp it out, this is what you get. This is what you get. No Child Left Behind in school that makes people think it's okay not to try as hard as they should. giving them passing grades, put them to the next level. Those people eventually age out of the system. Now they're out here in the world. This is what we get: chaos, finger pointing. There are literally thousands and thousands of videos online of people acting a complete fool and then playing victim with the circumstances of what they've done. Playing victim. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you do this to me? What did you do to put yourself in that situation? We have to stop perpetuating violence. We have to stop promoting just debauchery and insanity. We have to stop doing it and stop blaming other people. Now, I can post a video here of some ignorance on the internet, but I don't feel the need to do that. I think that today's videos need to be me speaking and talking about these things. I myself deal with people every day who do everything wrong, but the minute you say something, you're wrong. If you watch the videos on the internet, if you see people on social media, if someone posts anything about, let's say it could be, a person does something and someone steps up, they always tend to lean toward, why did that person say anything? They should have mind their own business. That was not their place to say anything. How? Are you serious? So you guys take the side of the person who's doing something wrong. You never stick up for the person that was trying to make a difference to correct that individual. The person who's trying to do something, they're wrong. The person that's right is wrong, but the one that was in the wrong is right. So you walk into a store, you grab items and you steal them and you go outside and security grabs you. The security officer is wrong for grabbing that person. They should have just mind their own business. This is the mentality of people. This is the mentality that people have. Literally, the mentality. It's absolutely ridiculous is what it is. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what we're going to do. I pray every day for my family, my friends, my loved ones, everyone that I care about, that these things may change and that our children have a chance in the next 20 years. Just have a chance. Because if we keep going the way that we're going as a community, as a people, it is not going to end very well. It is not. It is getting worse and worse and worse. We blame everybody else but the people in the community that are causing the problems. So research for yourself. If you want to say these stats are fake and people are fabricating them, they're making them up, other people do things in their community. True. Other people do commit crimes in their community. Other people do things to each other in their community. But however, they're not doing it on the scale that we are. If young white boys were being murdered at the rate that young black men are being murdered, the government would step in and do something about it. Think about it. That's the military. That's the lawyers. That's the congressmen. That's the doctors. They're the oil men. They're the truck drivers. Upper management are usually young white guys when they come out of school. If they were being murdered, if they were in other neighborhoods, particularly white neighborhoods, murdering each other on the scale that young black men are murdering each other, they would do something about it. It would 100% stop. They will not let their young men be killed at the rate that young black men, rappers or not, are getting murdered. That would definitely be fixed. Because for one, the community will hold people accountable. And number two, the government will definitely step in. Think about that one for a second. Look at what's allowed to happen. So when people say, why should we care if they don't care? Now, people take that as a racist statement, but really think about it for a second. Why should someone else care about what's going on in your community but you? It's not a problem unless someone else outside the community do it. But we can allow it to happen to each other every day. And get angry at people who speak like me right now. Get angry. Call them Sambos and Uncle Tom, stuff like that, because we're speaking the truth. That's what it is. We have a problem. But we have to fix our own problems. Fix our own problems. So as always, thank you for watching. Like I always say, happy people do not cause problems. Peace.
If everybody winning, who's losing? Man, who's losing? I'm trying to make it make sense. It's like it's so confused. I see the pain in your eyes from all the lonely nights. I swear I know how I feel. It just don't feel right.